Well, hello everybody. I hope everybody is safe and well. Interesting times we're having here in the world. Never experienced anything like this, but we'll get through this, and we just got to keep moving and be positive. So, anyway, we're going to jump right in here. We're going to start talking about factoring polynomials. Tonight, it's just factoring trinomials to the leading coefficient of 1. That means there's a 1 out in the front, out here in front of the leading term. Um, so the way we're going to do this is it's kind of the opposite of FOIL, opposite of multiplication. So let's see here, a little bit thinner. There we go. So we're going to have two sets of parentheses down here. I know I'm going to have an x here and an x here because x times x will give me the x squared. So what I'm looking for is factors of negative 15 that add up to be 2. So I make this little chart over here. This is just something to help us keep our thoughts organized. Factor of negative 15 that add up to be 2. So things like negative 15 times 1. Well, that doesn't add up to be 2. Negative 5 times 3. Well, that doesn't add up to be 2. It adds up to be actually negative 2. So now what I can do is I can just switch my signs and say 5 times negative 3. So the top and the bottom number are the numbers that we're looking for factors of negative 15 and add up to be the 2 on the bottom there. So now I just go over here and I put a plus 5 and a minus 3. So what's happening here is we're unfolding this. So I'm going to show you why this works. So I know by the way I picked it, x times x gives me the x squared, and this guy, 5 times negative 3 gives me the negative 15. So I've already got the x squared, and I've got the minus 15. But what happens is this guy gives me the 5x, and the outside gives me minus 3x. That right there is where your 2x is coming from in the middle. Okay, so let's try this next one here. I promise you it'll make sense after you do a few of them. Okay, so I'm going to do two sets of parentheses down here. I know I have an x there and an x there. So I'm looking for factors of 2 that add up to be 3. Well, that's easy. 2 times 1. So I'm going to have a plus 2 and a plus 1. So like I said, what's happening, I won't do this every time, but I'm just going to show you what's happening. Okay, so I know that's going to give me my x squared, and that'll give me my plus 2, but this one gives me 1x, and this one gives me 2x. So I've got an x squared, and then I've got, let's see, there should be a plus 1 right there. This didn't pick up right there. That should be a plus 1. Okay, so I've got an x squared, and I've got a plus 1x, and then I've got a plus 2x, and then I've got a plus 2. So right here in the middle is where that 3x is coming from. Okay, so let's keep on going. Okay, so put your sets of parentheses down here. So I'm looking for factors of 48 that add up to be 14. Okay, so like 48, so put 48 here and then 14 down there. 48 times 1, 24 times 2, and then 16 times 3, and then 12 times 4, and then 8 times 6, and you go, oh, right there. There it is. So it's x there and x there, and it's plus 8 and plus 6. Okay, so this little chart over here on the right, it's just something to help us keep our thoughts organized. That one's 8 and 6. Okay, so let's keep going, make it a little bit more complicated, a little bit harder. Okay, so I need to factor out a 3 first. I didn't stress on those others about the GCF. You always want to look for a GCF. So it's 3, and then we have x squared minus 2x minus 3y squared. So this has got an extra variable in it too, but that's okay. So I need factors of -3 that add up to be -2. That would be 3 and, -3 and 1. So watch what this is going to happen here. So I'm going to have a x minus 3y and x plus 1y. And what's happening is, check this out. I know that's going to give me my x squared, and I know that will give me my minus 3y squared, but I have to check this outside and this inside. The outside gives me 1xy, and the inside gives me minus 3xy. That's where my minus 2xy is going to come from in the middle. And I left my y out there. Let's slide that sucker back in there. Should have been a y right here. Right? Let's just factor out that 3. Okay, so let's come down here and try another one. Here I'm going to factor out a 10x squared y squared. And that's going to leave me with x squared plus 2xy minus 3y squared. So that 10x squared y squared stays out there. And now I have factors of -3 that add up to be 2. That would be 3 and -1. So that's going to give me an x minus 3y and an x, that should be plus, sorry, and an x minus 1y. Okay. You guys will, when we have our meeting on Tuesday, if you have questions on any of this, you can ask me then, okay? It's the best we can do for now. Okay, so now, all of those had coefficients of 1 in front. So all of these had coefficients of 1 in the front of the leading term. Like that first one is 1x squared. The second one was 1x squared. The third was 1x squared. This one after we factored out the 3 was 1x squared. This one after we factored out the 10 was 1x squared. Okay, that rule that we made a little x, that rule only works when you have a 1. So that's what this is saying right here. And this right here. What that's saying is the rule factors of something that add up to be something. Usually this is the C, the last term, and this is the B term when it's written like this. AX squared plus BX plus C. So it's always factors of this number that add up to be that number. That rule doesn't work when the leading coefficient is not 1. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to say to factor a polynomial where the leading coefficient is not 1, you must use trial and error. You must use trial and error. Let me fix that. It's really hard to write with this thing. Try one more time. Let's use trial and error, or what I call it sometimes is guess and check. Okay, so there's no GCF. So when I write this down, I know I'm going to have a 2x and an x, because 2x times x will give me 2x squared. I know these are plus signs because everything's plus signs in the problem. So for here and here, my only choices are 15 times 1 or 5 times 3. Now I'm going to do a little looking here, and I noticed that if I put the 5 here and the 3 here, that will give me 10x, and this will give me 3x, and 10x and 3x adds up to be 13x. So I know I must be right. Okay, so it's guessing and checking, but it's not just random guessing and checking. It's what I call educated guessing and checking. Okay, so let's try these two. Okay. Okay, so now for here and here, I could go with 12 times 1. I could go with 6 times 2, or I could go 4 times 3. I do not usually try the 12 and 1, anything times 1. I'm going to try the two numbers close to each other. I'm going to try the 4x and 3x. So I know these are plus signs. And for the other, I could go with 6 times 1, or I can go 3 times 2. Once again, don't try the 6 and the 1 first. Let's try the 3 and the 2. So I'm going to put the 3 here and the 2 there. So 4 times 2 is 8, and 3 times 3 is 9. Yeah, so this gives me 8x, and this gives me 9x. 8x and 9x makes 17x. So I know I did it right. Okay. Down here, I'm going to factor out a 5, and that's going to leave me with x squared plus 5xy plus 4y squared. X squared plus 5xy plus 4y squared. And let's just turn this into one of those problems where this thing does work. Any factors of 4 that add up to be 5, well, that would be 4 and 1. So this is 5, and this is going to be x minus 4y, and x, actually it's plus, and x plus 1y. And then if you want to double check it, you can. The outside gives you 1y, the inside gives you 4. Actually, the outside gives you 1xy, and the inside gives you 4xy, which adds up to be 5xy. So that does work. Okay. 2 more. Okay, so pen, and let's go with black again. Okay, no GCF. So 2x there and x there. So I know these signs are going to be different because when I multiply this times this, I'm going to get a negative 15. So my choices are 15 and 1 or 5 and 3. I'm going to try the 5 here and the 3 there. Okay, so all I have to do is check the outside and the inside. Outside gives me negative 10x, inside gives me 3x, which adds up to be negative 7x. So now I know I did it right. Okay, last one. I know this is confusing, guys, but just stick with me and you'll get it. You always do. Okay, so I'm going to factor out a 2x squared y squared. 2x squared y squared. And I've got about a minute left, guys, so if I run out of time, I'll pick it up on the next one, okay? So that's going to give me, yep. Okay. So that's going to give me 4x squared y squared minus xy minus 3x squared. No, it's not. I'll start this one at the beginning of next time, guys. I'm going to run out of time. So anyway, study hard. And at 6 o'clock on Tuesday, I will have a meeting through Zoom. And hopefully I'll see all of you there. Okay? Take care.